Um, Hi, Rohit, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Sorry, I need to change my speaker. Now, can you talk again? I want to hear.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we will wait for 2 more minutes.
Okay, sure.
Hare Krishna, Brajari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Anantacharya Prabhu. Rohit, can you lead the japa for 5 minutes? About 4 minutes, 45.
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay, sure.
Can I start now?
Yes, you may start now.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
You may chant one more minute.
Yeah, sure. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Ravi Rohit. How should I call you, Ravi or Rohit?
You can call me Rohit, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Rohit.
Thank you.
And I would like to welcome all of you for today's evening study from Bhagavad Gita. So as all of you are aware, we are continuing with the Gita study session. And now we are at the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So third chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. And in the beginning of third chapter, Arjuna asked the question, should he fight or renounce everything? Because in the second chapter, Lord Krishna spoke about Karma Yoga, then he also spoke about Buddhi Yoga and renunciation. So as the answer for that, Lord Krishna explained the importance of Karma Yoga to work with devotion. And after explaining that, he also explained how if someone is not at the platform to work without attachment and devotion, what should they do? And he introduced the concept of karma kanda, to act, to perform regulated activities for sense enjoyment. However, Lord Krishna does not encourage this process. And then he answers this question: how if someone is so spiritually elevated and self-realized that he really does not have anything to achieve within this world? So he has nothing to achieve. He's completely self-satisfied. Should he still work, or can he just stop working and because there's nothing for him to enjoy? So as answer for, we will see in today's verses, today 5 to 6 verses, Lord Krishna will be answering this question. Okay, so maybe we will read those verses first. Yeah, we can read from verse 20 onwards. Aditi, you may read the first 3 verses.
Yeah. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties.
Okay, Akila, can you read the following 3 verses?
Brajari Prabhu, if you don't mind, Aditi mentioned text 22 as O son of Partha, but it is actually Prita. Prita refers to Kunti Devi, which is the mother of.
Yes.
So Partha, we generally call it as Krishna, Partha Sarati, whereas Prita refers to Kunti Devi, just to share.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. My mistake, yeah.
Actually, Partha is, son of Prita is called Partha.
Okay, okay.
So Prita, Krishna is called Partha Sarati because he was the driver of Partha. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks. So the next 3 verses, Akila, you may.
For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path.
Yeah, and you may read the next verse also.
26, is it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you. So for that question, should a person who is self-realized and has nothing to achieve in this material world work? The answer given here by Lord Krishna is yes. And why? One of the main reasons is to set example to other people. Because if great people don't perform their duty, then common people, firstly, they have no example, and secondly, they will also use that as an excuse for not performing their work correctly. Okay, so we will look at, this is one of the very important verses in Bhagavad Gita that we just read. Anish, do you want to read the Sanskrit?
Yes. Yad
And the
yad
verse. Yeah.
Yes, sure. Yad yad acharati shrestas tat tat eve taro janaha sayad pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues.
Okay. So this is a verse which talks about the importance of a leader. Okay, a great man here refers to a leader, someone who can influence others. So it can be spiritual, it can also be from social or political, in any platform. Like the examples here, like Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Abraham Lincoln, they are great leaders. And because of their leadership quality and influence, a lot of people follow them. Therefore, they have a high responsibility to set a proper standard. Because if they do something wrong, then everyone will follow. Okay, so when we talk about leaders, very often we think about famous people like this. But in reality, it's not just these people are leaders. If we can just reflect on our own life, Just try to think, who are the people who have influenced us mostly? Can we, if you don't mind, can you share the persons who have most influence in your life?
My parents, some of my
Parents.
teachers.
Okay, parents, teachers.
And then my own children, my husband.
Oh. Okay, so that's Aditi, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so Aditi was telling parents, teachers, children, husband, and this is exactly true for most of us. Those people who influence us a lot are not those great social leaders or most famous people in the world. They are, in one sense, ordinary people, like our parents, teachers, a close friend. Um, so what does this show? It's actually, we are also individually influencing others. We are just like other people influencing us. Each and every one of us are also influencing many others. We are also parents, we are also friends, we are also guides. There are many people who are taking inspiration from us. Therefore, this verse equally applies for every living entities, because all of us has the responsibility to set a good standard, and we should act in an exemplary way, because there are people outside there who are taking inspiration from us, who are uh, being influenced by us. Okay, so that's one important point here. Let's see. Okay, so here Krishna talks about the principle that we cannot act in isolation. When we are doing, we cannot just be thinking of ourself and what is good for our own self. Not even sometimes in spiritual life, we may think like, "Oh, I renounce everything and if I go to the forest and attain liberation, that's good." But there's something even better than that. We have to think about the society, and our action should be beneficial to others too. Um, that is the real meaning of devotional service. We are when we serve the Lord, we should act in such a way that's genuinely beneficial to other living entities. So that is something Lord Krishna is emphasizing here. As every one of us has, there are people who are seeing us as leaders, and therefore we should act in a way that is exemplarily to others. Okay, so parents, teachers, kings, these are the natural leaders of the, okay, kings today are maybe politicians, leaders, social leaders, natural leaders of the society, and they should set very good examples. Okay, now I want to share a small story. Most of us might have heard this story before. So there was once a mother, okay, she brought her child. The son was very much addicted to sweets, was always eating a lot of sweets. So she tried many methods to make him give up the desire to eat too much sweets, but he was still eating. So there was a great leader in the area, a great saint, and she brought her son to the saint and asked him to, give him blessings or teach him such that he stops eating the sweets. So when the mother brought to the saint listened to the mother, and then he told her, "You bring your child back home and please come back after 1 week." So the mother brought him back and came back after a week. And then the saint sat down with this child and nicely explained what are the negative impacts you get if you eat sweets. And then he told, please reduce it. Don't eat too much. It's not good for your health. And somehow it impacted the child, and the child took it seriously and reduced his sweet intake. But now the mother is quite perplexed. She asked the saint, why did you ask me to go back and come back after a week? You could have just told the same thing to the child immediately. Anyone knows what the saint told? So he told the mother, actually, when you came here bringing the child last week, even I was personally very much addicted to sweets. I like to eat lots of sweets. So I couldn't tell your child not to do so. So in this 1 week, I took the time to practice to reduce my sweet intake. And that's why I asked you for 1 week, and now I could tell the child. So this, has any of you heard this story before?
Yes.
Yes, Vaishnavi. Others?
Not exactly.
No. Go on, Anish, sorry.
Not exactly the same story, but in our native, like South India, people used to tell the story that a father shouldn't drink. If he drinks and if he says his child not to drink or smoke, what power of speech he has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Anish. Yeah, it's the same point. I've heard this story dozens of times, and each time I hear the story, who told they heard the story before? Is it Aditi?
No, I
Vai-
didn't say.
Vaishnavi, is it?
Yeah.
Vaishnavi, who was the saint that you heard the story about?
I don't remember exactly. Is it Ramakrishna Paramahamsa?
Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Okay.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is I've heard this story many times, and each time I hear it, they say a different name. So I've heard Gandhi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, many others. So I think it's just a story, but the lesson is very important, and that is this. In Sanskrit, there's a word called acharya, and acharya means one who teaches by example, not just by speech but by example. So before one can teach something to others, they should be practicing it. If one practices and then it tells, as what Anish was telling, there's a power in the speech, and that will influence others and they can change. If someone does not practice and they just preach to others, then that preaching will not have any impact. Okay? So that is one more significant point of this verse. As a teacher or someone who wants to impart values, good values, they must be able to practice that values first. Okay. Like this is an example of a negative example of this verse, that the father is eating very unhealthy food, but he wants the son to eat healthy food. He might have good intentions, but the approach is very wrong. So this is not going to influence or impact the child. So it's very important to set the example, and we don't even need to preach. Yeah, I remember one devotee told me long back, if you want to preach the Bhagavad Gita to others, you want to teach Bhagavad Gita to others. Wait, let me recall what he said. Yeah, he told one should always teach Bhagavad Gita, but only open your mouth if it's extremely necessary. So the point is, we can teach and we can preach by not even opening our mouth. How to do so? By setting examples. If we live a life according to the scriptures, we live a life which is proper, that itself is a great lesson to other people. They will learn from that a lot more impactfully than just listening to us. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the next few verses. Okay, after telling this, actually Lord Krishna is now telling that he's giving example of his own self. Lord Krishna is telling Lord Krishna being the Supreme Lord, actually has nothing to achieve. He's completely self-satisfied. He doesn't need to work to maintain himself. He's the Supreme Person. However, he is doing work. When he comes to earth, he incarnates on earth 5,000 years back. He performed all his duties perfectly. And why is he doing so? Lord is explaining in these verses. Maybe we can read again. Rohit, just read the translation.
O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I needed to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties.
Okay.
For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path.
Okay. So Lord Krishna is also telling the same point. Even though he's a supreme Lord, he also has a responsibility to set good examples. Therefore, when he comes to earth, especially as Lord Ram, he showed the perfect example. And as Lord Krishna also, if you see his activities in Dwarka especially, there's once Narada Muni visited Lord Krishna in Dwarka. And in Dwarka, he had 16,000 palaces. Okay, because there's an incident before that where he had to rescue 16,000 queens, and after rescuing, all of them had the desire to marry the Lord. And Lord Krishna, being the supreme personality of Godhead, he fulfills the desire of every living entities. And every individual living entity actually has different ways to relate to the Lord, and he fulfills that. So since all the 16,000 ladies wanted to relate to the Lord as his wife, he married every one of them. Okay. However, we should know there are many. This does not mean the Lord is encouraging polygamy or marrying many people, because even though the Lord married 16,000 queens, it was not one Lord Krishna with 16,000 queens. Okay. In fact, he expanded himself into 16,000 Krishnas. So there was one queen with one Krishna individually. So once Narada Muni was curious how Lord Krishna is managing, with 16,000 expansions, how is he taking care of all his responsibilities? So he went to see, and when he went, he saw Lord Krishna is perfectly performing his duties in different palaces with different duties. Some places he was just joking with his queen. Some palaces he was performing his duty as a king, taking care of the citizens. In other places, he was playing with his kids and taking care of them. Another place, he was playing some games with the queen. And this is Lord Krishna's daily activities, which are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Maybe Vaishnavi, can you read this? Sorry. Yeah.
From the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the early hours of the morning, Lord Krishna would rise from bed and bathe himself in clear water. Immediately sits down and meditates on himself. After that, he would offer oblations into the sacred fire, chant the Gayatri Mantra, worship and pay tribute to the demigods, sages, and forefathers, and offer respect to learned brahmanas. Then he would touch auspicious substances, decorate himself with celestial ornaments. His next duty was to give cows in charity to the brahmanas. Every day, Lord Krishna used to give many groups of 13,084 cows. His next duty was to please all kinds of men belonging to different castes, both in the city and within the palace compound. Then the Lord would go to the assembly house known as Sudharma.
Okay, so here Lord Krishna is showing that the example of how he also wakes up early in the morning and he gets himself ready, and then of course Lord Krishna meditates on himself. We shouldn't be meditating on ourselves, we should be also meditating on Lord Krishna. Okay, then he does all his morning duties. After that, he gives charity to the he gives some charity, and then he does his work. He goes to the palace, he's a king, so he takes care of the citizen and does his work. So these are the activities of Lord Krishna. He does these activities so that common man also can look at the Lord, and firstly, we should not be finding fault. If the Lord doesn't do all this, then he's not setting a good example. Okay. One more important point here is, as much as the Lord is setting example, there's a difference between following his example and imitating him. Okay, so this is a very important principle in the scriptures, that we should follow the example set by the Lord and the great personalities, but we should not imitate, because we may not be at their level. Okay, for example, we can't imitate the Lord who meditates on himself. I cannot say I'm going to meditate on myself. Okay, the Lord might be able to give many groups of 13,000 cows. We may not be able to do that, but the principle is to give something, to give some charity for those who are in need. Okay, so I want to read a short paragraph here on the principle of imitating and following. Okay, who wants can read this? Let me. Aditi.
Yeah,
You,
yes. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. The instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. We should always consider the position of the Iswaras, or those who can actually control the movements of the sun and the moon, as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Iswaras, who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean, but if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja and similar intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Ras Leela or dance of love, forgetting their inability to lift Govardhan hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow the instructions. Nor should one try to occupy their posts without qualification. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of the Supreme Godhead.
okay. Okay, so here, this is also important, as much as the great personality set example, especially when Lord Krishna comes. In his pastimes and in his activities, he has multiple purposes to achieve. So one of it, he's also setting example. One of the purposes are to set examples to living entities, but he also does other things, like he kills the demons. He has different type of intimate activities with his devotees. So we cannot imitate. I want to tell a story from Bhagavatam about this. Because even today we see many people come and say that, oh, I'm incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and they try to imitate the activities of the Lord and convince people, oh, because I am the Supreme, I can do this. Okay, so it is not just now. We see this even when Lord Krishna was on earth, incarnated on earth 5,000 years back. There was a king called Paundraka. And that king somehow believed that he is the actual Vasudeva, the actual incarnation of the Supreme on earth. And his ministers and people surrounding him also flattered him and made him to be further convinced that he's the actual Vasudeva. So one day he decided to write a letter to Lord Krishna to tell Lord Krishna that this Paundraka is the actual Vasudeva and Lord Krishna is not the actual Supreme Lord. And Lord Krishna is falsely occupying the position. And he wanted Lord Krishna to surrender all the items like his Sudarshan Chakra and all other opulences he has back to Paundraka. So Paundraka wrote a letter and then he sent it to his messenger to Lord Krishna. So the messenger brought to Lord Krishna's palace and he read the letter. And when Lord Krishna and everyone in the palace heard this letter being read aloud, they laughed and laughed and laughed. It was so funny to them, they couldn't take it. And then Lord Krishna told the messenger don't worry, you go and tell Paundraka, I will come and return the Sudarshan Chakra to him. I'll meet him personally. So Lord Krishna went to Paundraka's kingdom, and Paundraka was there. He was just getting ready and he was prepared to fight with the Lord if he refused to return. And Paundraka also made his imitation arm. He made 4 arms with some like a robotic arms, so that he appears exactly like Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. So when Lord Krishna came, Paundraka told the Lord, okay, you are here, now just return all my things, return my Sudarshan Chakra to me. And Lord Krishna told, no problem, I'll return my Sudarshan Chakra. And he released it. And Paundraka, like he took his hand and he was just prepared for the Sudarshan Chakra to come and land in his hand. But he just missed a little bit and cut his head, and Paundraka was killed. And actually, before that, when everyone saw Paundraka was dressed up like that, everyone in Krishna's army was just laughing and having so much fun, because for Paundraka really looked very foolish. Okay, and then of course the battle continued. There were Paundraka's friends who were also fighting against this. So these are the examples of demons who, even during Lord Krishna's time, they were probably perplexed and they wanted to imitate the Lord. They were envious of the Lord and they wanted to imitate the Lord. But imitating the Lord does not purify one and doesn't make one a devotee or qualify one to become spiritually realized. To become spiritually realized, one should follow the instruction of the Lord and follow those activities of the Lord which are meant for us to follow. Okay, so that's the main point here. And yeah. Okay, and these verses also, if you look in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was perplexed. He didn't want to fight the battle, and for not fighting, Arjuna gave many different reasons. Okay, if you remember, he felt compassion to the other living entities who are going to die in the battle. Arjuna also felt that all his relatives, friends are all in the battle. So if he wins, who is he going to enjoy? Okay. He also felt like great personalities like Bhishma, Drona. How can he fight in front of these personalities? So Arjuna gives many different reasons. We saw these reasons in the chapter 1. And one of the reasons he gave was, if he kills the kings and the warriors here, many of the family members will not have fathers. And as a result, there will be unwanted population. The population will be corrupted. The values of religion may not be well preserved in the society. So Krishna is now refuting this argument. He's telling Arjuna, if you don't perform the duty, actually you are one of the great leaders in the society. People are looking upon you as a leader. If you refuse to do your duty and you run away, people will use this as an example, and they will also say, I don't need to perform my duty, just like Arjuna refused to perform his duty. And this will be the cause of unwanted population. So Krishna is telling Arjuna here to set good example. Even though Arjuna may not be personally motivated to enjoy a kingdom, Krishna is telling Arjuna, just to set a good example, you should fight and uphold the dharma, the principle of religious principles, such that people wouldn't use this as an excuse for not performing their own duties. Okay? So that's the verse here, verse 34. So that's all I want to emphasize here. Is there any question or anything anyone wants to add?
Hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I had a question from the previous session, and this question is basically, I was not very clear, and I wanted to understand the difference between karma yoga and karma kanda.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if it will be discussed later.
I think now is a good time to discuss it.
Okay.
So yoga means to connect with the Supreme. So any process that makes us to be connected with the Supreme is called yoga. And karma yoga means by performing activities, those selfless activities which can connect us with the Supreme. These are karma yoga. So within karma yoga also there are different gradations. There are sakama karma yoga and nishkama or akama karma yoga. Sakama karma yoga, the performer may still have attachment to his activities and to the results, but at the same time, he also acknowledges the Supreme and he offers his results to the Supreme. Okay, this is not a very high platform. The higher and the pure platform is called Nishkama, where one does not have any personal motivation. He's not doing the activities for his own self-enjoyment, but he's just doing it as to please the Lord. Okay, and he's using these activities just a mean for him to connect with the Lord. So this is called Nishkama Karma Yoga, and that will be described in this verse as well as many chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so that is Karma Yoga. Is that clear? What is Karma Yoga?
Yeah, it's clear. So you said one is Nishkarma Yoga and the other one, which the previous one you said is?
Sakama Karma Yoga.
Can you please spell that for me?
Okay. Let me type here.
Okay.
Okay, these two.
Okay.
But usually when we speak about Karma Yoga, we refer to this. This is the pure platform of Karma Yoga.
Okay. Thank you so much.
The other thing is Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is not a yoga. Okay, it's not a yoga. It doesn't connect us with the Supreme. This is basically a way to enjoy our life in a regulated manner. So in a religious manner to enjoy. Like some people, they go to temple, they want to give charity and all this so that their business will flourish. So basically any way to enjoy in a religious manner with a regulated manner is called karma kanda, and the scriptures does give us many explanation on karma kanda, many ways on how one can enjoy within this world. But this platform can also, it's not very high. One should not stay in karma kanda. It doesn't give us spiritual benefit. Okay, am I clear? I can.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'll just show a verse from chapter 2. You see here Krishna is a lot more explaining about karma kanda. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to flowery words of the Vedas. So this is karma kanda, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resulted in good birth, power, and so forth. But this doesn't give one spiritual benefit. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there's nothing more than this. In the mind of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, resolute determination for devotional service to the Lord does not take place. So this is karma kanda.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, we will do Kirtan now.
Also, I wanted to comment on that. So, I mean, in addition, right, this is also one step which Krishna is giving also to practice some kind of regulation so that you can still go to the next level of spirituality than being just rampant and nasty with all the fruitive benefits that you want. It's like, okay, putting you in some regulation, so you'll have some practice of being in regulation and then take you to the next step, right?
Yes, thanks Akila. That's very true. Okay, so karma kanda also has its own benefits. It's not like completely useless. There are many benefits. One of it is what Akila is explained. Okay, if not, a human life will be very much like animal life. Just enjoy as one wish. Very selfishly, one will might end up enjoying without considering other factors. By practicing karma kanda, one's life becomes very much regulated, and one can come to the platform of mood of goodness. Okay? Then one can take up spirituality. So it can, especially if one is fortunate, one can come in contact with saintly people because they are also following the Vedas, and then one can come to the higher platform. So it's a very important point that Akila pointed out. Thank you. Okay, so now we will do kirtan for 15 minutes. Akila, can you lead the kirtan?
Sure. Harer Naam, Harer Naam, Harer Naam eva kevalam, kalau nastyeva nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyatha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Ram Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva Ragatiramyatha. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.